Hey, it's your indie fantasy author, Melinda Cusera, and I'm back with just a quick update. Um, I also recorded an episode with Joshua Olivieri about his book, The Fifth Commander. So I'm not sure if that episode will come out first or if this one will come out first. Probably that episode will come out first. And I said in that one that I didn't want to get into updates and things because the point of the episode was to talk about Joshua's book. So you can definitely go and check that out. I will try to put links in the description or the show notes to that episode. If I can do that, I will. So that out of the way, hi, it's been a while. I'm sorry it's been so long. My father passed away in September 2024 very suddenly, and things were very much out of whack. And then the company I was working for was bought out, and there was a lot going on with that and with my dad's estate. A lot of that is settled. I was not let go. I don't know. I don't remember when I did the last update, if I had known that or if I had updated you on that, but I was not let go in January. So I'm still there. I hope to stay. It's a great company. So I hope they'll let me stay. So we'll see. So right now I'm still employed by them. And yeah, the work is good and interesting, and it's nice to be able to see the products that I've been working on for years, to see them through, to see how they grow and change and develop with the new company that purchased them. So that's what's going on the work front. So I am still employed. Yay. Yeah, because I have not suddenly become very good at advertising or marketing, and my book sales have not exploded, which it'd be great if they did, but I probably have to do something to make that happen. And the odds of me doing that are pretty small. So yeah, so that's what's going on in the life front. My mom's doing really well. You know, she misses my dad, but she's doing really well, acclimating to being on her own, taking care of the house on her own, and pretty much got his affairs pretty much sorted. There's still there's still items in the house, but it's an ongoing process. He was sick for about 10 years, so there's a lot of maintenance in the house that was put off, and now my mom's slowly trying to get that handled. I've told her to prioritize anything for safety, for comfort. The house doesn't have to be beautiful. It just needs to be comfortable and safe for you. So that's what she's working on. And, I'm helping her where I can. I'm not great at renovation, so we do have to leave a lot of it to the experts. So that's what's going on those two fronts. And on the book front, I just, no surprise, I am writing. I'm always writing. So I think when I last updated you, I was working on the 7-book ridiculous story arc that was the stories from my newsletter, which included the brand new Tales of Icarus Breaker in New York trilogy, which is completed. Ran the Kickstarter on that. Thank you so much to everyone who supported it. It was a really wild ride. The stories are very weird, good, fun, weird, and just really thank you. The books came out beautiful beyond what I thought they were going to look like. The printer really did an amazing job, and I'm so glad, because they were really expensive to print. But they looked so beautiful with the foil. Taking pictures of them was really hard, so the pictures of them didn't do them justice. But all the messages that I've received from folks who have gotten their books was that they are much, much more beautiful than they were in the pictures. And yeah, they were. I'm not great at photographing gold foil. Oh well. But I am good at writing books, so if I have to be good at one thing, I'm glad it's that. And also within that 7-book arc was the 4 books in the Cursebreakers Companion series. That is complete for right now. There's more the characters want to do, but it'll be at some point in the future in some other series, maybe with not with Ran as the main character. I mean, he'll be in it, obviously. He doesn't. I can't write books that he doesn't sneak into, unless they're prequels, and I don't want to write any more prequels. So He will show up somewhere. But for now, that is complete. And the last 2 books were brand new and part of that Kickstarter as well. And all 7 of those books, which is, it starts with Catch the Scribe, Book Battles, Rogue Characters, Dragon Spells, Rogue Spells, Storm Spells, and Void Spells. They're all coming to retailers in May. I'm working on getting them published out to retailers. There's a lot of steps involved, and I am working on that. So you'll be able to get, if you missed a Kickstarter, and you'll be able to get them in May. I'll have all the links on my website. I'll have that all in the show notes or the description. You can also buy it from my shop if you want to support me directly and not. Yeah. And unfortunately, I still do not have a Amazon account. So I won't be able to publish them to Amazon. It's been about 6 months since I lost my Amazon account. I've been working with the Alliance of Independent Authors, but they have not been much help. They just keep telling me that they don't have an update, which is not really helpful. They used to have a rep at Kindle Direct Publishing. I don't know if they still do. I'm beginning to wonder about that. They're saying that all of their cases, some of them even older than mine, are still pending. They still have no updates. So I'm not sure if they're as effective as they once were. So if you know another author who is struggling with Amazon and having issues, I can't really recommend them as an option. Yeah, but not having an Amazon account, aside from the fact that, I lost access to all the ebooks that I have purchased over the years, which is annoying, but I was able to get access to the audiobooks that I had purchased. So I am still able to listen to the audiobooks that I have purchased over the years. And thankfully, a number of Kickstarters recently have included audiobooks. So I've been supporting those. I know that, and I'm deeply grateful that there are authors who do have audiobook versions of their books that they are offering in their Kickstarters, because when I lost my access to my Amazon account, that my consumer one, and my my account to publish was also affected. I can't actually buy books on Amazon anymore. So I am deeply grateful that there's still ways to purchase them. I'm looking at other places. I heard about Chirp. I haven't really looked into that all that much, but it's on my list. I've been just re-listening to the audiobooks that I purchased from Audible over the years, because I have nearly 3,000 of them. And when the absolute hero at Audible transferred them to a new account that I created, I lost all record of what books I had listened to and which ones I hadn't. So I decided to go through and re-listen to all of them and find the ones that I hadn't listened to. I mean, I hadn't. I always bought more audiobooks than I can listen to. So I didn't like to run out. I love audiobooks. So I know that there's still several hundred that I never got to. I just don't know what they are. But I'll find them. I'm going through and I will find them. And yeah, so to go back, because I don't think I'm telling this in order, what the sequence of events that happened was, in November, I went to log into my Amazon account as I would normally do. And instead of taking me into my account, it gave me a strange error, and it said it couldn't find an account for my email address. And I contacted support for help, and they told me to do a password reset, which I thought was okay. That I don't think that's the problem, but I did it. But during that process, I created a new account, and it disconnected my email address and my cell phone number from my Amazon account. I don't know why that happened. I spent 2 months trying to get access to my old Amazon account and couldn't do it. So then the hero at Audible was like, let's create a new account and we'll move your audiobooks over. So I did that. Was not able to move any of the books or music or ebooks over. The folks who work on that side of things, they're not very nice, and they were not very helpful. And so I don't have access to any of that anymore. But I do have access to my audiobooks, and that makes me happy, at least. And then what happened with my Kindle publishing account, I went to the support for the Kindle publishing group, and I told them what's going on. And they advised me to create a new publisher account on this new Amazon account, and that they would transfer my books over and close the old account that I can't access. So we did that, and the old account was closed. So I only had the one publisher account, which is what they say in the terms of service. You can only have one. I only had one that was active. The other one was terminated because I can't access it. I don't know if it was hacked. I don't know what happened. And then Amazon terminated that account, the new account, which was the only one that I had. So I'm currently accountless. So that's the history. And then I've been going back and forth with the Alliance of Independent Authors, of which I'm a member, to get help to restore all this, because I did everything you're supposed to do. And I only created the new publisher account because Kindle Direct Publishing Group support told me to do that. They told me that this is how they resolve this sort of issue. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get it back. So for now, I have my shop, and I'm launching books through Kickstarter, and I'm still publishing, everywhere else. So you can still get them in your library. I'm still in the library systems. New books are still going into there. I'm still on Kobo and Barnes and Noble and Google Play and Apple and a bunch of other stores, but I can't publish to Amazon. And it is against the terms and services to distribute your books to Amazon through a distributor like Draft to Digital or Publish Drive once your account has been terminated. So for anyone out there who's thinking, well, why don't you do that? That's why I don't do that. It's against the terms of service for those distributors. And the reason it's against the terms of service for the distributors is that they don't want to ruin their reputation with Amazon. So I understand. So I'm playing by the rules. So that's where that is. So it's been 6 months, still no Amazon account, still no ability to publish on Amazon. It is what it is at this point. I don't know if it'll ever get corrected. So I've also been boycotting them since November. I've been backing a lot of Kickstarter campaigns. I like books, and I'm not going to stop reading them just because I can't buy them from Amazon. So that's been my solution right now, is to try to buy direct from authors wherever possible. And that's been a lot of fun. I have to say that's been a lot of fun. I found some really cool campaigns. I backed a campaign for this. I'm actually really excited about this. It's for a series of graphic novels about the invasion of Italy's invasion of Ethiopia, but it's like a sci-fi retelling. I think it's called Zufan. So I'm really excited about that. That one just ended, so I can't wait to get the books. And I can't wait to read them. So there's that. So on the subject of books, I have also been writing. So yeah, I'm publishing the books from my previous Kickstarter, which was the Tales of the Curse Breaker New York and the Curse Breaker's Companion series. So those will all be published in May. And I'm also writing, as I said, and I am writing Curse Breaker Jousts. Finally, it is almost complete. I actually thought it was done a week ago, but then the characters were like, well, no, we need to handle this other piece that you didn't write. So I just wrote another 4-chapter story arc that I'm just weaving through, finishing the last reread. I'm pretty sure I've got the sequence of where those new chapters go. Actually, it's 5 chapters because I had to break up one of them because of the time frame so that it matches up, because characters can't be in 2 places at once. So so that's exciting. I actually started writing Curse Breaker Joust in 2012 after I went to the New York Renaissance Fair. At the New York Renaissance Fair, they have a live action chess match, and they also have a jousts. And I started going in college. I probably was going on before I was in college, but that was when I found out about it, and I started going. And I don't know why the idea came to me in 2012 and not any of the previous times that I had been there. But for some reason, when I was there in 2012 with my sister and some of my cousins and friends, and just, I think I was at the live action chess match, I think that's, or I was on the way to the joust, but somewhere in between that, because I like to go to the 1:30 live action chess match, and it's Robinson men versus the Sheriff of Nottingham's men. And there's different storylines, different reasons for why they get into it, and it always ends in a melee. And they have to fight each other for each square, and sometimes they get inventive with the weapons, and there's always witty quips and things, and I love it. So some point between that, which is I go to the one at 1:30, and I also try to go to the one at 4:30, and there used to be only 2 jousts. There would be one at around noon, and there'd be one at after the live action chess match at 4:30. The next thing would be the final joust at 5, I want to say, or 6. I don't remember. Now they have 3 jousts. It's totally different. It used to be one storyline through, you could follow it through all the different events, but now they have a different storyline for the joust, which is weird. But I understand why they did it, because I think it makes sense. But it's gotten much bigger, the New York Renaissance Fair, than it used to be when I first in 2012. So going back to that, yeah. So sometime in between the live action chess match and the joust at the end, I don't know what triggered it, but I just wondered what would happen if there was a Renaissance Fair at Mount Redron. Like, who would be at it? Who would go to it? Who would be working it? What would go on? And then from that idea, I'm not entirely sure. I saw something out there that triggered the thought, but I don't know what it was. I wondered, what if monsters showed up? And it just kind of went from there. Like, what would happen? What would the monsters do? How many would there be? How would people react? What would the Rangers do? What would Sarn do? What would happen? And I went home after that, and I just started writing, like trying to answer those questions. And I wrote, over the next couple of weeks and months, what the first draft of Curse Breaker Jousts. It was about 50,000 words, and it was literally, they go to the joust, the monsters show up for, we don't know why, they just show up, and everything that they do after that. And then I wanted to use it as the first book in the Curse Breakers series, but I told my sister about the story, and she said to me, Mel, I don't think that's a first book. You need something that introduces things. We can't just start with some characters that are at an event. We don't know anything about them. And I didn't want to do any sort of backstory or anything. I wanted to start with they're at the joust. So she convinced me that that's not a first book. So then I put that aside and started trying to figure out, well, what were they doing before they go to the joust? Where are these people? And so it took, I wrote several different things, drafts of different things. Nothing really clicked. And then I started writing what became Curse Breaker Enchanted, and it did start clicking. And unfortunately, she passed away, and I did continue and publish Curse Breaker Enchanted as book 1 in 2016. And then I thought Joust would be the second book. So there's all kinds of mentions about the Joust in Curse Breaker Enchanted, because I thought it was going to be the sequel. The characters had a completely different opinion on things. They decided that we were not going to do the Joust as the next book. So they kept tormenting me with like that question that begins the Curse Breaker Darkens, which is the sequel to Curse Breaker Enchanted, with a body new book are unaccounted for. What happened to them? And like, just Jurla was just relentless with this. So I wrote Curse Breaker Darkens to shut him up, to get his voice out of my head. And then the way that ended, I still couldn't get it to go. I couldn't figure out from there, how do we get to the joust? And then Sarn had his ideas about what we should do in the third book. And he wanted to go after the people that he thought were responsible for his best friend's death. And I'm like, okay, we should do this. And that just led into those people who are responsible for Shade's death releasing a ancient monster. And and then we had to figure out, how do we deal with this? And then the devil showed up. And by the time we dealt with all of this, that whole sequence ended. with Cursebreaker Hidden, which was book 6. And I'm finishing book 6, and I'm like, how do we get from here to the joust? And I just couldn't find a way. So in book 7, which is book 7 is oh my god, I can see the title and my brain is like, it's 10:30 at night and my brain is has abandoned me. Cursebreaker Fallout, that is it. And we had to deal with the fallout from that, and there were other things going on, so we're like, all right, we deal with the fallout, then we'll do the joust. But then at the end of that, I kept getting questions from readers. Well, when are the Rangers going to find out about Rand? When is Sarn's living situation to change? I'm like, okay, well, I don't see how we can get to the joust from the end of Cursebreaker Fallout, but I see a clear path for how we can get to Rand being revealed. So we did that. And then at the end, and that was Cursebreaker Trapped, and then Cursebreaker Revealed. And Cursebreaker Revealed is where the Rangers found out about Rand. And then at the end of that, I'm like, well, I still don't see how we get to joust. Now we have to deal with, he's wounded, he needs to adjust to where he's living. And I had the idea for what became the Rogue Gods trilogy, which that started with Garen going, well, I want to steal a book from a library in hell. And I was like, okay, I'm curious. Let's see where this goes. I had no idea where it was going to go. I have notes in those books that I had I thought we were going somewhere very different with those stories than where we ended up. But we broke time magic, and I don't like time travel, so I can't really complain. So by the end of the Rogue Gods trilogy, which was Gateway to Hell, again, my brain. Oh Lord, this is like, it's too late at night for this. Summon the Gods and Storm the Gates. We were, they started pulling in Sarn and his family, and I was, and by the end of that, it was like, in order to write those parts that they are in the Rogue Gods book, I had to write the scenes from Sarn's point of view and from the other characters in his books to know what they were doing and how it intersected. And then, well, they convinced me that we should just we need to include that in the Cursebreaker series. So that became books 10 and 11, Shards for His Gift and Chasing Dragons, where Jirlo finally gets a dragon. And then at the end of that, I decided we are doing the joust next. I've done everything the characters wanted up until this point. Now they're doing what I want, and I want to do the joust. So the original draft of Cursebreaker Joust was 50,000 words. The current draft is almost 150,000 words, and there's almost nothing from the original draft because the lead I have everything from the lead into it, which is Sarn recuperating. We have the political stuff and the setting up of things, because we had a tent village that's on the meadow that has to be removed. We have to build the pavilion and where the nobles are going to hang out and officiate. We have to set things up. We have to invite people. Sarn needs to recuperate enough that he can actually go to the joust and do, run away from monsters and things. And I had the perfect. I never had a reason in the original draft for why the monsters show up, but I do in the final version of Cursebreaker Joust, because starting in, I think it was Cursebreaker Trapped, which was book 8, we had War, which is one of the Riders of the Apocalypse, actually take over Queen Shayari and convince her over the next couple of books that she needs to kill Sarn. And not just him, but the knights and the spoiled noble, because the three of them are actually, they're brothers, they're half brothers. And if she doesn't, they're going to reenact the tragedy of their ancestors and destroy and cause another war that will, almost annihilate the country again. So so that, and she ends up getting the monsters because she knows where they are buried, and she releases them and sends them, and that becomes part of the Ride of the Apocalypse's plan. So now we have a reason for the monsters, but now we also have a big bad boss type figure, this Rider of the Apocalypse, which is difficult to defeat. So that's why the book is longer. We have the setup, Sarn healing, and everything getting set up and arranged, and then we have and you know, there's other things that go on in the beginning. You know, Ren has plans for his father. They're still adjusting to living with Inari and Nolo, and Inari and Nolo are adjusting to the fact that Sarn has magic, and they're not quite comfortable with that. And so there's a lot with that. And Sarn also wants to be better, and now he has an opportunity to put his money where his mouth is, and actually take the steps to be better. Because he's not constantly run ragged. He's not constantly working. He has nothing to do except try and figure out how to be that better person that he's been saying for several books he wants to be. So does he do it? Does he not? You'll have to read the book to find out. So yeah, so we have that. That's the first part. Then we have the joust itself, and then we have the monsters show up. So then we need to fight the monsters. Then the big bad shows up. But there's also political shenanigans, because some of the knights decide in all of the shenanigans that they see an opportunity to seize power and unseat some of the current. I haven't shown a lot of the politics in the country. Some of it's because I don't really like Game of Thrones style grim dark politics things, and I don't want this to devolve into that. So I'm trying to figure out how we negotiate another path, because I am going to have some politics in the books going forward. It's not really negotiable. So I'm trying to figure out a way, because I don't really enjoy that in epic fantasy. So I'm trying to find a way to navigate through that and make it interesting and not too much, not too heavy. So we get a bit here, and you see that not everybody is on the same side. So we do have that, a little bit of some knights decide to take your advantage. So not everybody is fighting the monsters. Some people are actually fighting the people who are trying to fight the monsters, which is not great. There is a body count in this book. It's not graphic. I don't do graphic violence, but there are people do die in this book. Yeah. So then we have the monsters who show up, and then we deal with that. And then we have the Rider of the Apocalypse show up, War. And she has possessed Queen Shiari, and Queen Shiari is a sorceress, so she has power. So they show up, and now the Riders of the Apocalypse, I didn't know this when I created them, but they're all necromancers. I did not realize this. So they raise the dead. So we have to deal with that, with zombies, literal zombies. I did not have that on my 2026 bingo card, but I mean, so much of these books that I write, there's things that I know that I want to happen, and then there's about 100 different things that I didn't plan on that occur to me as I'm writing it, and I'm like, oh, this should be in here. This is good. This zombie thing was that. I was not planning on that, so we have to deal with that, and then we have to deal with the Rider of the Apocalypse, and then I don't do prologues, but I love my epilogues. So we have our long denouement with what everybody is doing and the aftermath. Because I don't feel like a Chris Breaker book is complete unless we have that aftermath. So that's why it's 150,000 words. Hopefully you really enjoy it. It's going to be in a Kickstarter that I'm hoping will launch in September. I still need to write Chaos Reigns and Chaos in Chains. Chaos Rises is out and published. I wrote that in, I think they came out in early 2025. Jousts, I am trying to finish this week. The characters are not allowed anything else. Anything else they want to add has to go into Cursebreaker Unleashed, which will be book 13 in the Cursebreaker series, which I would like to have in your hands in March of next year for my birthday. But it's all depending on the characters cooperating, and it's a doozy. That book starts a story arc where we unleash Sarn and his Cursebreak ability, and we finally get the reason for all of armored statues around, they all come to life. So we have to deal with that. I have no idea how we're going to deal with that, but I will find out when I get there. So that's I'll be writing that after I finish the 2 books, Chaos Reigns and Chaos in Chains, which are the last 2 books in the Riders of the Apocalypse series. They're trying to make it longer than 4 books, and I'm not letting them. Yeah, I've had enough. I think 4 books is enough. So that's what's going on. Sorry, it's a bit rambly. I probably should have recorded this at some decent sane hour, but when you work for a living, you have to do things when you can. So thank you so much for being here, for listening, for, if you've bought my books or have read them, thank you so much. And if you haven't, why haven't you? Go check them out. There'll be links and stuff in the description and the show notes. And I will catch you in another update soon. I'll try not to let it go so many months. But yeah, so follow the Kickstarter to get notified, and definitely join my newsletter. It goes out every Monday. Rand writes it, and he complains about not getting enough page time, or if he schemes about getting more of it. So if you want to stay up to date that way, it's also an option. Thank you so much. And if you want to read Curse Breaker Jousts, you can, because all of it is currently posted on Patreon and on Substack. So if you're a paid member, you can do that. And I'm working on, I don't know how to do this on Substack, but I found that on Patreon that I'm going to be able to have copies of my books available as part of the tiers. So I'm just figuring out how that all works. But that's something else that I'm working on. There's some on there already, and there's some, it's just a little bit weird, the interface. So I'm working on that as well, because I want you to have my books, and I want you to read them. So have a great night and read some fantasy books. Thank you.